you doing, mate?
Very good. You?
Very good. It's episode number 1. What's the show all about?
It's about people's stories, those that have had a turning point in their life and, I guess, achieved greatness in their desired field.
And overcome adversity.
Oh, yes.
Today is all about fitness.
Hold on.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect timing.
The Brown Podcast.
You've always been pretty fit, right?
Thank you. Yes, I have.
Well, you have. You've always worked on your fitness.
I have. Yes. Most of my life, I have worked on fitness or been semi-fit.
Yeah.
Yes.
What happened?
How dare you call out what's clearly true?
But our guest today, James Smith PT, has kind of almost revolutionised the fitness world by calling out half the people in it and calling what they do BS.
And his approach is so obvious, it surprises me that somebody else wasn't talking about it before now.
And we should chat to him.
Hey.
James Smith, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's all right, man. How's life back in Australia?
I'm so happy to be back. I mean, I was technically locked out for the best part of 8 months.
Yeah.
And even the day my visa came, I was quite literally on the next flight.
Oh, really? That quick?
I emailed my immigration agent and I said, any idea when my visa's going to come? And she said, in the next 2 days because of the processing times. So yeah. I did my PCR before my visa came. Expecting it. And my mum and dad were in bed. I wake up and I check my inbox every morning for about a month, but it was over Christmas, and Australians do like to have a bit of time off between
we do
mid-December
really
and Jan. And so I run into my mum and dad's room and I go, my visa's come. And she's like, you're not off already? And my dad's like, which airport, son? Which airport? And I was like, it's going to be from Gatwick. And he's there looking at his watch. He goes, yeah, we got time.
And I see you flew back business class too. Looked terrible.
Yeah, I was so eager to get back that I was like, right, I want to do this and start. And I actually looked online because I'm buying a flight literally last minute. A lot of the layovers are now like 30 or 40 hours. And then I went onto Skyscanner, I looked at a few things, and then Emirates, they were like, okay, we got one at 1:30 and first class. And I looked at the price. I was like, I'm so keen to get back. There's nothing in business. Even economy was sold out. And I was there. I was like, okay. But at this point, it's 10 a.m. and that flight takes off at 1:30. So the airport's also an hour away. So I left myself 30 minutes to pack, to change hemispheres. So I forgot so much. But yeah. So then on the way to the airport, I was like, Dad, this is going to be an expensive mistake if we don't get there in time. I've got the airport wrong.
But you obviously made it and it was fine.
Yeah, it was. I didn't tell any of my friends. So I took a picture at Sydney airport and some of my mates were out pissed. And they were like, oh, mate, so when are you back then? Your visa's come. I was like, mate, I'm driving through Centennial Park. They're like, no way. So, yeah.
What made you move here in the first place?
Do you know what? If we go full disclosure, I was at a festival in Croatia. Yeah. And I took a psychedelic substance on the dance floor.
Yeah.
And I just started, thinking about life. And I hand on heart, this is true. Some people think I'm making this up. I've never wanted to go to Australia in my life. I'm 27 at this point. And this introspective conversation in my mind was like, you work in fitness, you're a PT, the most competitive realm in the world is over there. You've never been there. You should put yourself there. To be honest with people, I was living at home with my parents when I was 27. I moved back in because I lived with a mate of mine. He was just annoying the shit out of me. I was like, I'd rather not have the independence and go back home. Yeah. And then in my head, it was like, you've got to move to a big city and take this seriously because you're going to be 30 and then 40 and then 50. So my options were either London or Sydney. So I was like, all right, I'm going. So I flew over to Australia with a one-way ticket with a 3-month visa just to see what it was about. I started in Cairns, worked my way down. Yeah. And very soon I knew my Facebook statuses come up recently and they're like, I get to Sydney. I'm like, let's see what it's all about then. And 2 days later, my status just said, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but both of us have been following your journey from about, I think Dion, you jumped on about the same time as me. It's about 30,000 people when you were on Instagram and people were sort of going, you've got to see this guy. He just literally calls a spade a spade. Everybody in the fitness industry is going to hate him. And I remember seeing a story at one point. You were just sort of going, "Oh, I want to go to." Was it Coachella or was it Burning Man or something? You've just gone, "I'm going there. Who's over there? I want to meet you."
Yeah, so I put on my story question. I put story questions out most days, and one of them said, "Do you want to come to Coachella?" And I messaged them and I said, "Are you serious?" She goes, "Yeah, one of our friends has pulled out. Tickets already been paid for. You just need to get yourself to Coachella." So I was like, "Who is it?" They were like, "It's 3 girls from Melbourne." So I was like, "Ooh. Okay, if I don't like them, when I'm in Hollywood, I will just have a holiday around America. I've got nothing to lose here." And I went along. It was a pretty crazy weekend. And it was a pretty reckless decision, but in hindsight, it was amazing. They'd been several times before, so it was like I had tour guides taking me around.
Oh, that's cool.
They're some of the best decisions.
Yeah, I remember seeing that story, and going, "You bastard, that looks amazing."
I thought, like, I'll be old soon, and no one will care about who I am or what I do. And when I'm not relevant anymore, I can sit there in a rocking chair somewhere, hopefully in Australia, and go, "Kids, when I was your age, I went to Coachella with 3 girls and never met before."
Yeah.
So walk us through the journey. It astounds me. It doesn't astound me because we enjoy what you do, but the growth in your popularity over the last 2 to 3 years, 5 years, I guess, has been exponential. It's been phenomenal. How do you deal with that? Or are you the same person you were 5 years ago? Have you had to adjust or what?
I would say I am, but also I've witnessed little peaks and troughs through that, where last year I was a materialistic little prick. Like I was buying expensive trainers and even up until about 6 months ago. And then after that, I was like, mate, this is fucking stupid. Guys do things to impress other guys. Like, you trim your chest because you want your pecs to look bigger than another guy on the beach. And so I kind of grew out of that. I would like to think, as a personality standpoint, I'm the same person. Yeah. 2 of my housemates are my rugby friends from back in the day. Over 10 years I've known them. Yeah. And they wouldn't live with me if I'd become an unbearable piece of shit. Yeah. So, and again, my friendship circle is very close to what it was 5-6 years ago. And if I ever stepped out of line, they'd be the first ones to be like, "Mate, you're being a prick."
Yeah, aren't they good for that?
Yeah. So and to me, to be honest, I like when I look at social media and followers and view counts on stories, to me, it's like I'm looking at a marketing dashboard with analytics. Yeah. And I'm like testing the temperature. I've got a finger on the pulse of what's working and what isn't. My business partner that I run my online personal training academy with, I don't even see the balance sheets. I don't see the income outcome. He puts me on a salary. So no matter how well I perform in business, I earn the same amount.
Oh, wow.
And then he will tell me, oh, we're investing in this. I'm like, "Oh, are we?" So even to me, I just sit back and I don't ever let it feel real, if that makes sense. When the followers go up 1,000, to me, that's like another high score. Yeah. It's not like, there's 1,000 people that, now I lined up to buy something I'm selling or viewing my videos. To me, it's just like a high score that you'd have, on Grand Theft Auto, when you're playing it, and you start accumulating loads of wealth. Yeah. It's not real money. So in my mind, I just treat it like that.
You're not killing people, are you? Just in case.
No.
So, like, has the growth in popularity, because I know you've talked about anxiety and stuff like that, has that taken a toll at any point, or is that when you just sort of get off social media, go and be you for a while and not be the public persona that people see?
I think it's obviously, it has to be my personality very, like James on 5 coffees is what the Instagram James is. Yeah. I'd like to think the podcasting version is a little bit more normal. The anxiety is never crippling. It's not like I can't get out of bed, but there have been times where I've sometimes I rush a post and I don't get my point across probably as, accurately as I should have. And then someone takes it out of context. Yeah. And then I did one on the dangers of assuming privilege. That was my point. I was saying, I'm white, I'm straight, I'm cisgender. My parents are still together. There is an amount of privilege. And even me saying that I moved back in, my parents are 27, that is a legitimate privilege. And I wasn't discrediting that, but I was saying, if you were to look at the things I've done in the last 5 years, don't assume it's because I'm a straight white cisgender male from Berkshire. What I was saying was, let's not overlook the fact that some people are working harder than others. And that wasn't me shitting other people. And the point I wanted to make was, even though our start points are very different, our finish points can be very different as well. Yeah. And I did that post and a lot of people are like, "I can't believe you don't see your own privilege." I was like, no, that's not the point I'm trying to make. And then news.com.au were like, "Hey, James, how are you? Big fans of the content. We're going to do a piece a little bit later. We're wondering if we could get a little bit of your feedback." And I looked at it and I was like, I'm going to wait till my manager wakes up for this one.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And by the time he had woken up, they had literally just copied the whole post and posted it on their website.
Oh.
And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And my manager said to me, he goes, you used to make content from the news and now the news are looking to make content from you.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And I was like, whoa. And when that goes to a cold audience, the Joe Rogan controversy this week, they've taken so much out of context and just thrown it out there to a cold audience. And someone I saw, I think it was on TikTok, so don't trust my sources. He said, imagine if you took every joke out of context from South Park and showed it to someone who'd never seen it over 20 seasons.
Yeah.
The anxiety stems from that. And then I think to myself how fortunate I am that I don't have TV or, you know, something that someone could really pull the rug from.
Yeah, I've seen it and I've read those articles as well. And because they haven't followed you for so long, they don't get the sense of humor or the tongue in cheek of some of what you say. I mean, some of it is very hard hitting, and you're known for using the C bomb in every second.
What was that?
Moment.
What was that?
No, I know you were going to do it, but that's part of the controversy as well, right?
Yeah, and it's also about polarizing a crowd.
Yeah.
There's a big group of people that have just been left and they're not catered for. And the people that like someone being cheeky and calling someone a cunt, you know, they've never had anyone talk to them on social media because everyone's trying to conform to the status quo. It's like a carbon copy of every fitness influence has been repeated. Hey guys, today we're going to hit our workouts, get some vitamin K from avocados. We're going to smash it. And then I was like, there are loads of people that probably see that on TV in the morning and go, hey, look at this fucking prick on the TV. And I was like, I want to talk to that guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey guys, stop eating like a cunt. I'll see you tomorrow. And if someone was to see that on the news, they go, hey, that guy's a fitness guy? Yeah, I like him.
That was how I got introduced to you. Was, hey, you, like, because I was trying to lose weight. I was trying to get fit, you know, I'm in my 40s. And my wife has actually followed you. And she said, you got to follow this guy because it's literally calorie fucking deficit. And that became your motto.
Yeah, and it was a weird one. I never really quite expected it to stick the way it did, but it was kind of my way of like dispelling nonsense, because I was misled for a long time. I was doing the HIIT workouts. I was, my housemate was putting a tin of tuna, 2 big tins of tuna in a salad the other day, and I was like, I've been there. I've been there, mate. Like,
tastes like shit.
I thought it was just about eating clean, and then I'd have a friend at the gym that goes, yeah, I just eat whatever I want, but just not more than 1,500 calories. I was like, no, that can't be it. That can't be it. So you're telling me you had cereal? I was like, and then I remember like some of the articles I'd read about cereal being bad for you, and I was like, nah, there's something not right here. And then when I kind of discovered how simple it was, I became very frustrated. I'm sure similar to you, like you're like, wow. And I've definitely kept the chip on my shoulder. I use it as ammunition to keep me going some days when I can't be fucked.
Well, on the calorie deficit and stuff, when I was talking to Christo before, I'm 45, and when I was in my 30s, I would just drop weight like nobody's business. I'd be able to go to the gym for a couple of months and I would see solid results. And then recently I was getting depressed, feeling really shit. I'd go to the gym, not motivated, and everything was just slowing down. So I went to the doctors, and funnily enough, it turns out my testosterone level had dropped far below what it should be. So I think just before Christmas, I started going on the testosterone, a shot every 2 weeks, or I think it was every 2 weeks. But I think I saw one of your posts talking about testosterone dropping off in males over 30, and I don't think that's spoken about enough either. I mean, calorie deficit's great, but then in my case, I was working my guts out, but just shit wasn't moving.
Yeah, I think that, I've always kind of tried to tread carefully here, not being like an endocrinologist or like being specialized in the field. But and a lot of charlatans use hormones as a reason. They're like, mate, you're not losing weight because of your insulin, and all of this, like, oh, your mitochondria aren't firing on the right cellular. Like, there's all this bullshit. So then when someone says testosterone all the time, people are like, oh, fuck off with your hormone chat. But when we look at deficiencies in insulin for type 1 diabetics, bang, you need to be medicated or you're going to die. We look at people with thyroid disorders, most commonly in women. We go, right, you need to be medicated or, you're going to be in a really poor bit of health. Whenever a hormone isn't doing its job properly, we do see side effects. And I think that people need to be aware that malaise, poor mood, sluggish, and low aggression, I'm sure, is the one that people, like, aggression doesn't mean you want to fight. Aggression means you want to get out of bed and attack
100%.
the day. And then you're a bit tired. And like, I love Joe Rogan, where when he works out, he says he's conquering his inner bitch.
Yeah.
And that is that is someone on testosterone. That is, I know exactly how the brain works. And he goes, there's an inner bitch inside of me that wants to stay on the sofa and I'm going to kick the fuck out of him in the gym. That's testosterone talking. So, you know, my dad actually had an operation on his pituitary gland in his brain. Like, had a very small tumor. They went up through his nose and took it out, but it affected his testosterone. And my dad's like 60 at this point, maybe 65. And again, they were like, it's very important you go on this. And again, if you were to say testosterone may negate your fertility, but if you've had kids, TRT, the testosterone replacement therapy, anyone beyond having the age of kids, you're like, yeah, let's get it in you. If you were trying to have kids, you might be in a bit of an ethical debate. But even if, which it doesn't, it shaved 10 years off your life, let's say, but you get to spend the next 30 up until that point being more energetic, training more, recovering better, feeling more, aggressive towards attacking the day, all of these things. The majority of people would be like, take the 10 years, give me that test.
100%. Yeah.
And I think it is an integral part in our lives that we can do that. And the opposing one is HRT for women going through menopause, where the average age of women committing suicide is between 50 and 55, which just so happens to be when their reproductive hormones halt in their track. And there's 1 in 100 before 40 and 1 in 1,000 women between 30, and they're not getting diagnosed, because if a 35-year-old goes to the doctor, they go, well, it can't be, it can't be menopause. And even yours would have had a slight gradual decline, whereas women within the space of a year, boom. And I feel like a lot of people, probably yourself included, have you got kids?
Yeah, I've got one daughter. Yeah, no more. So one and done.
so like, I think parents often find they're very valiant and noble, and they'll fall on the sword. They'll go, I'm not feeling great, but that's not important. I've got my daughter to bring up. I've got, school run. I've got all of this. I've got to provide for the family. And then you kind of get to a point where you realize, hold on, if I seek medical intervention and get testosterone, I can look after my family better by looking after myself
massively better. Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing that people need to consider, and weighing up the pros and cons of it. I think that it will definitely be the future.
Yeah, 100%. Because I know at the time I just didn't feel right. And I know a lot of dudes would just go along and just accept. And it got to the point where, like I say, I was struggling to get out of bed. I'd go to the gym, but half-ass it, and get home and just feel like shit, want to sleep. But after having the TRT, it's definitely put a spark back in my life, and I'm ready to rock and roll again. Which,
having said that, I've never known anybody to nap more than this
I do.
guy.
I love my naps. Shush.
It's fucking incredible. He'll go out for the morning, go for a surf, and then go, oh, I'm going for a nap. And I'm like, what about your family, man?
They know it's just part of my routine. I'll go for a surf and have an hour nap. It's delightful.
I'm a serial napper as well, and I think that it gives me an excuse to be overproductive in the morning, where I kind of would love to get tested for ADHD. I know that a lot of people throw around OCD, and it's kind of offensive to people that actually have the condition. Yeah. But I had learning difficulties through school. And actually, when I talk to people, or actually when my followers message me, some people go, you need to get tested, because my attention span when I want to give it to something is amazing, but I like juggling 5 tasks at the same time. Then out of nowhere, I need a coffee, and then I come back and I'm doing it again. But then it gets to about 2 p.m. and I'm like, wow, I need to lay down. And my rule is that if you ever suspect you need a nap, you lay down for 5 minutes with your eyes closed comfortably. If you didn't need a nap, you get on about your day after 5 minutes. But if you did, you won't know about it because you've fallen asleep.
See, I suffer from restless legs. Right, restless leg syndrome. So I get to about 2 o'clock and I need a nap because I do breakfast radio, cannot sleep. So I have to take drugs, and not drugs. I have to punch a couple of cones and then I go to sleep. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I love Matthew Walker when he says it's either the biggest mistake ever in evolution or it's something essential. Otherwise, why would every living organism, even down to a basic level, need time to regenerate? And the more I kind of learn about it, the one thing I've kind of got to a point now where I realize it's not worth having sleep anxiety about. People need to welcome the odd bad night's sleep because we're human. But I'm even at the moment playing around with some supplements, evidence-based supplements for sleep. And every night I'm now using my housemates as guinea pigs. I'm like, okay, Ben, you're going to take 3 milligrams of glycine. Okay, Ferris, you're going to come. You've got apigenin and you've got magnesium 3-8. And they're like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, magnesium 3-8 will pass the blood-brain barrier to the brain. And then, and then someone else will come through. They're like, what am I on? I'm like, okay, you're on theanine. And then in the mornings, I'm like, how are your dreams, guys? How was this? How was that?
Yeah.
And then there's me taking 12 pills before bed and like waking up like, whoa. But
Has it worked?
yeah, some of them. But then again, a placebo works even if it's a placebo. Yeah. But I did have some crazy dreams. But then I'm trying to figure out whether or not the dreams were beneficial, because I woke up glad that was a dream. And I'm not sure of the legality of CBD in Australia. So I will, for legal reasons, I will say I've taken CBD before.
Yeah.
And
Wink.
I didn't want CBD to work. I actually didn't want it to work. And some people said, no, you got to try it. And it did improve my sleep and improve my sleep quality. So that's one where I'm still not sure where I'm at with it. I think something like 30% of the people that try CBD end up continuing using it because they find it has benefits to their sleep. And that's a pretty, mad statistic, even if it just means people take it and then turn their phones off half an hour earlier before going to bed.
Well, I'll tell you what, my mum, she's 70, and she was suffering grotesque cramps when she was sleeping. So the doctor gave her some CBD oil. The cramp stopped, and she really? Sleeps like a baby now. It's there's definitely some validity to it because it's changed her life.
Now she does bucket bongs before bed.
It is one of those things where I think that people supplement, coffee to wake up, pre-workout before they train. And, if there are supplements that can help people sleep and fall asleep, I think we should be 100% using those, because people are like, oh, James, do I need to be having a greens powder? And I'm like, well, a better night's sleep would probably do more. Yeah. People, we bang on about 5 a day. How about fucking 7 a night of hours sleep?
Yeah.
And I think that especially for testosterone production as well, some of the key ones for that, sleep, big one. As far as composition, losing weight will help you with testosterone. Sunlight. Yeah. Now, the sunlight debate is a bloody hard one in Australia.
Yeah.
Like I could be wrong, but this is something I've read, and I haven't actually looked at peer-reviewed data on it, but there are some kids in Australia that are developing like rickets from vitamin D deficiency because they're not exposed to any sunlight. Yeah. And it's a tough one because on one end, you got a lot of people not at full potential because they're not getting enough sunlight. But then we only really cater to the end of people with melanoma and skin cancer. And we kind of let that weigh a lot heavier onto the debate than we do about people with deficiencies. A bit like any person who's abused testosterone gets a lot of airtime, whereas the people that go through life with low testosterone, it's not giving you a heart attack, so back in your box.
This is the Brown Park Podcast with Christo and Dion.
This is the Brown Park Podcast. Real fellas.
So how do you go from being fitness PT crossing over into the business realm? Because now you're doing chats around the country. You're almost a business mentor.
Yeah, and it's something that I've been careful not to. So many PTs make $100,000 in a year, and they're like, "Okay, guys, swipe up for my 6-figure." And there's also a huge amount of money to be made in them. So I was part of several programs before, where you get PTs to pay you $200 a month. And out of it, it's very easy to help PTs earn more money. So then suddenly when you got 100 PTs or even 1,000 PTs giving you $200 a month, you're making a good amount of money.
Yeah.
And there's more than 1,000 PTs watching my content. And there are so many guys, great trainers, women in amazing shape who are great at being personal trainers, but they don't understand how to market a business. And I refer everything back to sex. And I say, if you need to get sex, you don't just go asking for sex. And there are a lot of PTs that need business, and all they do is ask for business. And I say, hey, you need to put yourself in the right place, whether it's social media, flyering, campaigning, door to door, whatever. That's you on a dance floor. You now need to approach people right so you can get their numbers. Now you need squeeze pages, funnels, all of these things. So then out of that, you might knock on 1,000 doors, get 200 email addresses. You now need to send email marketing campaigns to get them to click onto a landing page. The landing page is going to be a sales pitch for business, similar to on a dance floor. You'd use your sales pitch. Look, babe, you don't have to sleep with me tonight, but I would like you to come back with me to have a cuddle, whatever it is.
You're ugly, but you intrigue me.
So then out of the amount of people that you propose for having, coming back home with me for an extra drink, maybe another few amount of them will say yes. So ultimately, if it takes 500 people to speak to get laid, then why do personal trainers not implement the same thing with social media to talk to 500 people to get a client? And they don't understand cost per acquisition, click-throughs, and it's such a good opportunity to sit down with people. And I say, oh, how many followers you got? They go, 5,000. I go, okay, if you converted 1% of your following, you need to hire someone to help you.
Wow.
And they're like, what? And I probably, I without like showing off, when I had 30,000 followers, I treated myself to flying first class for the first time. I'd never been business. So with that in mind, I probably earn less money now, if I'm honest, because I pay everything legit. Everything's going to the tax man where it needs to be.
And you've got staff. You'd have staff to look after and stuff like that, wouldn't you? Yeah.
And now they've got these things called supers, which I realised I've got one as well, and that's where money's going. And I get taxed 60% if I go back to the UK and pull it out. And with that in mind, I was saying to people like, look, you can live. And the point on top of that as well is to say to people, it's not about making you millionaires. It's about maybe there's a life where you PTs, can work 3 hours a day face to face, go to a cafe for 2 hours and make the same amount of money you do now. Yeah. And then they're like, wow. Cause I'm in a room full of 25, 30 year olds. I'm like, in 10 years, you're going to have kids and they're not going to be too happy with you pulling the 12-hour day of PT. Yeah. And so just giving people a strategy where they can spend, because ultimately PTs are just selling their time for money. And they're not building a brand. They're not building a business. They're not, and they think that hiring another PT is the way forward. I'm like, no. Do not pay someone to take your clients because they will soon become their clients.
Yeah. They do the cashies. Yeah.
And then that's taken you around because that principle works for other businesses as well, which is where it's come down to, isn't it?
Yeah. So we've got physios coming, sports massage therapists, and, just giving them an actionable plan where they can go away and people are like, I will get someone I'm doing a talk on the 6th of March in Brisbane and I'll get someone to give me their phone and they'll have a post of them with their top off at 8% body fat. And I'll go, what the fuck is this doing? This is doing shit. And I go, do you ever get asked questions by your clients? They go, yeah. I go, well, why don't you fucking answer it on your social media? Because if Sharon, who's paying you $110 an hour, is asking this question, then Linda, her housemate who follows you on Instagram, is thinking the same fucking question and she's not paying you yet. Answer the damn questions on social media, then you'll be an authority for helping people and you'll be answering questions they haven't asked you yet. And I was like, that's going to do more for your business than taking your fucking top off.
How have the other, and I've seen bits and pieces because you go pretty hard at other PTs on your socials. Do you ever hear from them? Do they respond to you?
Well, the thing is, they're the only people that are never going to buy my business products.
Yeah.
So it's like selling sausages to vegetarians.
Yeah.
Like, a butcher's not there like, hey guys, what do you think of the sausages? So it's one of those things where if you look carefully, you'll see this now. I only attack people that will never ever buy anything I sell.
Yeah.
And then for that, I'm actually kind of using it to my advantage. Like, I like having a little pop at functional training or a PT. It's not like something malicious. I wouldn't see him in the pub and go, lads, finish your pints and start.
They might start it with you.
But that's fine. Purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm ready. That's why,
you're gold. Yeah.
That's why I started training. And also you could choke them out. And then by the time the police come, there's no marks.
And you're gone.
In my house where I live, it is, people are throwing acid on each other all day out of nowhere. You step one thing wrong, and the boys are coming down, and it's almost like the culture of British people. Like to show endearment and affection, you have to be really horrible to your mates. Even my best mate, when he sees like some of my story questions, he'll be like, "Why are you asking yourself questions? Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And so when I see PTs doing this, and I throw that banter at them, ultimately, what would be good is if I really criticize someone's approach. Sometimes I DM them saying, "Come to my business event for free." It's the ultimate rip. It's the ultimate rip. And I know that even if they claim a ticket, they're probably not going to come. And if they do, I can then use them as an example in front of all the people that paid.
Welcome to the show, bitch.
Yeah. There are a lot of PTs, though, that peddle a lot of bullshit and a lot of and it's like you've pointed out numerous times, it all comes down to calorie fucking deficit, because that's all everybody's peddling.
Well, the thing is as well, linking back to the first point is personal trainers are shit at selling. So they have to create these systems and these complex stuff, because for me, I came along and I was like, okay, this is a very basic proposal that you need to create a calorie deficit. And that's not sexy, but I like to think I'm good enough at selling the basic to people by being a bit funny, a bit crass, a bit facetious through video content that's short and hopefully engaging. So when the other PTs, they try that and they're like, wow, 7 views, that didn't bang. So then they start going like, hey guys, mitochondria, hey guys, they do TikToks for like intermittent fasting will double your lifespan. And people are like, okay, I'm listening. So I feel like it's almost a bit, they've got a finger on their pulse, and a lot of their content that doesn't sell, they have to become more ridiculous to get airtime. Because even people on TikTok, it'll be algorithm favorable if someone watches a video twice. So if they bombard them with bullshit, they'll be like, what'd you say? And they'll listen to it again and go, mitochondrial release for autophagy. And then suddenly they're like, oh, okay. No, this guy's chatting shit, but it's too late. The algorithm's already been played into.
Before we let you go, what do you do outside of all the PT? Well, I know you love your budgie smugglers. I know you're in them quite frequently. But what do you get up to when you're not doing this?
I like to wake up, go for a swim in the morning. Like just jumping in. I say that a dip is for the soul, a swim is for the body. So like I'm not out there doing lengths, not at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Go have a little swim, wake up, get some sunlight in my eyes. And then throughout the day, I've answered every question from a personal training standpoint that I could and put it in one place for people.
Yeah.
I then hired coaches to support them with the manual labor of that. And if someone watches the video and doesn't get it, I've hired people to do that. So then my day-to-day job is to market that business and to find new creative ways of telling people, give me fucking $200 and I'll change your life forever. Like, I'm like, go to the PT for 2 hours or do 3 months with me. Like, and I'm trying to sell it the best I can. But outside of that, I love Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It has taken over my life. And for several reasons. One, I know that you can, with physique competitor, you win gold at a bodybuilding show, you're the fucking Don.
Yeah.
But anyone can really do that with a couple of steroid cycles and 12-week diet. Within 2 years with the right dedication, you can win one of those. But a black belt takes 10 years.
Yeah.
And there's no cutting corners. And I also enjoy that every week, at least once, someone kicks the fuck out of me. No matter. And I've gone to competitions and you got the blue tick, the best selling books, but then I lost all my matches in a comp last November.
Yeah.
And then I've got to come home with that. And there's no good pay slip that I can earn that makes me feel less of a shitbag. So the humility side of it. And even after training, I'm still grabbing the mop and wiping up the sweat. And I love that.
Yeah.
If I ever tried leaving training without mopping up the sweat, some of my teammates would go, you fucking prick, get back in here.
Yeah.
Get back in here and do your part. So I think that's really good. And I think that's why a lot of celebrities we see now get into jiu-jitsu, because people like Justin Bieber, they become all religious because they need a god.
Yeah.
But anyone who's getting a bit big for their boots, get a black belt instructor, and you don't need a god because you get humility forced into you via armbar, rear naked stroke, and rear naked choke and a footlock. So like that's another thing that I really enjoy. And like I'd like to think that I still get a work-life balance. After this podcast, I'm going to play a game of tennis with my housemates. I'm shit at tennis, but I enjoy having a little knockabout. I enjoy the emotions that get involved in it. I swear so much. And I scream fuck when I miss like a serve.
Yeah.
And then I turn around, there's some like old ladies. I'm like, sorry, ladies, knowing I'm going to swear again in 5 minutes time. So like, I think that some of my mates have got like Porsches and like nice stuff and all of that. But for me, I feel like I'm one of the wealthiest businessmen that's ever lived because I still do the fun stuff between working.
Yeah.
And if I could help my clients understand the stuff I never understood, and I can help trainers understand that they can help 20 people, 10 online, 10 face-to-face, and make a good enough living that they can enjoy their lives and soon bring up families, because there's such a churn rate in the fitness industry because everyone has a family and realizes they can't sustain PT.
Yeah.
Well, that's an email for today. I'll make 10 grand from that.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's one of those things where, could I be doing more in a day? Yeah. But at the same time, I think that's the best thing, the Australian thing that I've learned. A lot of people come to Australia and go, they're very laid back. They're not very innovative. And I've gone, guys, I came here as a British person going, we've got life quite wrong. That's why we adopted a cold fucking island. We're not even part of Europe anymore. We can't even go Ibiza without having to get your passport checked. I think that coming to Australia, I came with the British work ethic, and then adopted the Australian lifestyle. And that's pretty much it.
I think that's amazing.
Well, mate, you're a success story, and we both enjoy your content and want to thank you for your time on the show, and thanks for being open.
Mate, thank you very much for having me, both of you. And then if I'm up on the Gold Coast, we'll have to get a beer in.
Hit us up. We'll always down for a beer.
All right.
Ain't no calorie deficit that week.
Amen.
Nice, man. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
The Brown Podcast.
Why are you happy?
Because I don't want to be sad.